hit the bottom of that ditch, and I and that ordnance-man were on the way up out of the ditch. Somebody, again I suppose the duty officer calls out, "Get back in the ditch! Get back in the ditch!" I don't want to be in that ditch. We're military men. We should be putting up a defense. We shouldn't be here in this ditch. Besides, I know this is the beginning of that war that they've been talking about and we've been preparing for. And I'm from a proud family, and I damn well know that if I'm going to lose my life in this or any other battle of this war, I would want my family and my country to know that I died fighting, not hiding. We continued upon that ditch, started to run for the ammo shack. Then I heard the most unexpected military command directed at myself and that ordnance-man that I thought I would ever hear in the military, especially under those conditions. We weren't running from the action, we were running to it. Anyway, somebody shouts, "Get back in the ditch or I'll put you on report for disobeying a direct order." Hell's bells, talk about being between a rock and a hard spot. These guys in these airplanes are machine gunning and dropping bombs, trying to kill as many of us as they could, and our own duty officer sheltering here, what I call it hiding here in the ditch, is threatening us with military discipline for when to defend ourselves. I couldn't believe it. With total and complete disregard for the threat of military discipline, with total and complete disregard for the fact that aerial bombs and machine gun bullets were raining down in the area to where we were running, we continued to run. We made it to the ammo shack. The ordnance-man unlocked the door, let himself in. I'm right behind him. "What do you want?" "Give me a 50 caliber machine gun." Now, I'm a recent farm boy. The biggest gun I'm used to firing is a shoulder-fired 22 caliber rifle. This is not a shoulder-fired gun. This is a fixed mount machine gun. Hell, it looked to me like a cannon without wheels, you know. But I took it as best I could, most likely cradled it in my arms. I wasn't very big at that time. Turned and started for the door. By now, I guess a few other brave souls figured they hadn't ought to be in that ditch either, and they had followed us to the ammo shack. The guy coming in the door was somewhat taller than I, huskier built. I just offloaded that machine gun to him. I said, "Here, take it to the PBY parked in front of 23's hangar. I'll get the ammo." He looked a bit surprised, but he took a turn and out the door he went. I turned around, and there again I'm so thankful and grateful to that aviation ordnance-man, because without his cooperation, none of this defense that we were able to put up there on that end of Fort Island would have happened. Anyway, when I turned around, he was just setting 2 canisters of 50 caliber ammo off on the counter. I grabbed those 2 canisters of ammunition, turned, and out the door I went. Now, I'm not a runner or a sprinter, never have been, but I guarantee you, I beat the guy with a gun to the airplane. He had a heavier load than I did. Now, we were approaching that airplane from the port side, the same direction that the attacking aircraft were coming in from. But the ladder to get into that airplane was hanging from the starboard gun blister around the backside. I ran around the backside of that airplane, set those canisters down, started up the ladder. I don't think I got more than a couple of rungs when it dawned on me, hey, if I get up inside this airplane, am I going to be strong enough to pull that big old gun up inside? I don't think so. So I jumped down off the ladder. Just as the guy with the gun got there. I said, "Give it to me. You get up inside. I'll hand it to you." Boy, he chopped up that ladder, jumped inside, turned around, reached down. I got the gun to him somehow, most likely muzzle first, which is the lightest end, but which is also a safety no-no. But I don't think either one else was thinking about safety right at that time. I shouted, "Put it in the port blister. That's the side they're coming from." He turned and disappeared into the fuselage of that airplane. I grabbed the canister of that ammo in my right hand, guided myself up at the ladder with the left hand, set it inside the airplane, back down, got the second canister, back up the ladder, set it inside, jumped inside, picked those 2 canisters up, turned, stepped across the port gun blister just as he was swinging that mounted gun out and locking it in firing position. I set the canisters down under the gun, flipped the lid open, up with the end of the belt, ready to load, thinking he'd have the breech open. But he was just standing there staring skyward. I looked up, and here comes another one of those airplanes in a power dive. Same old blinking, flashing lights. Now I'm only hearing popping sound, which I was later told were some of those machine gun bullets passing through the fuselage of that airplane we were in. Big old bomb hanging there on the bottom. Man, I couldn't wait on this other guy to get his train of thoughts back together. I just reached over, slid the lock forward, threw the breech open, fed the end of the belt into the loading mechanism, slammed the breech shut, grabbed the charging pin, pulled it back, let it go. Bam! We get around in their chamber. Shoot! I shouted, and he pulled the trigger. Now, I guess he was one of those guys that thought with a machine gun, you don't have to aim. You just point in the general direction and fire away. Because I stood there and watched those tracer bullets fly off harmlessly through empty space where that airplane had once been. I think that's when my country boy hunter instinct kicked into gear. I used to shoot jackrabbits on the run, Chinese ringneck pheasants on the fly. Nah, not with a shotgun, with a .22 caliber rifle. I knew that you had to aim and put that bullet where the target would be when the two of them came together. I shouted, "Let me get the next one." He let that gun down, stepped aside. I grabbed it and brought it back up just as I did. Here comes another one of those guys in a power dive. Blinking flashing lights, big old bomb hanging there in the bottom. Man, I got a beat and a lead. A beat and a lead. I continued to lead and I squeezed that trigger. I continued leading and firing all the while the airplane came down, completed its power dive, pulled out into level flight and passed just overhead. I watched those tracer bullets fly through the air, and it looked like every one of them went right into that round opening in front of that old air-cooled radial engine Bell dive bomber, and then stitched the stitch right down the bottom of the fuselage. Now, some of you guys know and remember that following each one of those tracer bullets, there were 4 regular bullets. Another tracer, 4 more regular bullets. So I know here, and I know here, that I did some damage to that aircraft. But you're not going to be watching him to see what happens with him. He's no longer a threat. He's going away. You better be looking for the next one that's coming at you. I bring that gun back, and I'm looking for another one in a power dive. I don't see another one in a power dive, but there's one out over the channel, maybe 2 city blocks away, well within the range of a .50 caliber machine gun. Now, he's not in a power dive, but a steep banking and descending left turn, as though he's lining up to make another machine gun run on it. Because he's in that banking turn, I can see the cockpit 6 or 8 feet behind the front of that airplane. I figure at that distance and at that speed, if I use the front of that airplane as my aiming point, I'm going to get some rounds into the fuselage, maybe even into the cockpit. And believe you me, if you can get a few of these bouncing around inside that cockpit with that pilot, you're going to give him something else to think about besides coming back and machine gunning you a second time. I maintained that lead, squeezed the trigger. I don't think I got off more than maybe 8 or a dozen rounds, something like that. But I saw at least 2 of those tracer bullets disappear into the fuselage of that airplane just forward of the cockpit. And when they did, that airplane did an abrupt rolling right turn and was gone from my field of fire. No more aircraft came back to bomb or to strafe our end of the island that morning. I think he got on his communication system and told his wingman, "Don't go back there, don't go back there." Anyway, I stayed at that gun. I got to fire a short blast at other aircraft as they passed through my limited field of fire on their way to or from other targets. But no more head-on turkey shoots like those first ones were. About halfway through that raid, about the same time that the second wave of those attacking aircraft came in, the USS Nevada came down the channel, making a run for open water. Boy, those pilots, those airplanes got on it like a swarm of bees. They were hoping they could sink it there in the channel, and that would have blocked the harbor for some time. I got to fire short bursts at some of those as they too passed through my limited field of fire. But by now, our own aircraft parked on the ramps and on the apron, and the Joyce and Hangar, Building 6, Hangar 1, all of which were between where I was firing from there in front of Building 54 and where the Nevada headed there in the area of Hospital Point. Those airplanes and that hangar were beginning to burn so fiercely, putting up such heavy clouds of black smoke that it just obliterated that field of fire. 50 years later, I was listening to a news broadcast from Hawaii. That year, they had made a great effort to locate as many of those Japanese pilots as they could who had participated in that raid at Pearl Harbor, who had survived the war, who were physically able to travel, and they had brought them back to Pearl Harbor for that anniversary. They were interviewing them, and they asked this one pilot, "What part did you play in that raid?" Now listen carefully to this. He said, "I was the lead pilot of a group of 9 aircraft. Our assigned targets were the airplanes and the hangars on Ford Island." That's where I was. He said, "When I went in for my first run, machine gun, dropped my bomb, I didn't see a soul. It was like the whole island was asleep." But he said, "We were surprised how fast they reacted, because by the time I had came around and was lining up for a second machine gun run, there was so much fire coming up that I turned and went elsewhere." Oh, I would love to have talked to him. That's the guy that I was firing at. One of them, anyway. That's the guy that dropped the very first bomb to fall at Pearl Harbor that morning. That's the guy that dropped the bomb that got to me physically, spilt in my blood, most likely the very first blood to fall there that morning. But in spite of that, I think I'm the guy that got to him with that on-target 50 caliber machine gun fire and changed his mind about coming back and machine gunning us a second time. In 2010, I, along with my dear sweet wife,